what transforms a self-proclaimed queen of procrastination into a life coach, helping thousands cultivate daily gratitude and leadership. Today's guest from Trinidad and Tobago, Prudence Borde, NALIS first-time author, has created tools that turn abstract concepts into tangible daily practices. Her A Grateful Heart 12-week gratitude journal isn't just prompts on pages. It's a thoughtfully designed companion featuring daily gratitude exercises, affirmations, even a brain dump section for mental decluttering, all nestled between inspiring quotes and coloring pages. Influenced by giants like Miles Monroe, Brian Tracy, yet deeply personal with tributes to her own father, Prudence pairs this journal with The Everyday Leader, challenging the notion that leadership doesn't only belong in boardrooms. By week 12, you won't just have your documented gratitude journal, you would have created your very own memoir. Tropical Literature Creatives welcomes Prudence Borde. Greetings, listenership. Welcome to TLC, Tropical Literature Creatives, the podcast where we interview authors of Caribbean heritage about themselves and about their literary works. Some of them you've heard of, some of them you'll be hearing about soon enough. Today we have with us Prudence. Prudence is the author of 2 books, A Grateful Heart, a 12-week gratitude journal, and The Everyday Leader. Prudence, welcome to Tropical Literature Creatives.
Thank you so much for having me, and hi to all of your listeners and your followers.
Okay, thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed.
No problem. I'm so happy and grateful.
Well, usually the guests who I have on the podcast, I give to them a scenario, and the scenario is this. Imagine that you're at the airport. Let's just say it's Piaco International Airport in Trinidad and Tobago, and you meet someone coming to Trinidad and Tobago for the very first time, and they want your advice. They hear that Trinidad is famous for a lot of things. What would you recommend that they try? Whether it be food, drink, place, what would you recommend, Prudence?
So I would suggest a combination of things. Number one, you need to get something to eat. Now, I am a curry girl, so I wouldn't say doubles, but one of my go-to comfort foods is rice, dal, and curry chicken or curry duck. So you need to go to the Hosein's Roti Shop for that. After that, I want you to go on the lookout and get a beautiful view of our city, our capital. And then one of my favorite places to go is on the boardwalk in Chaguaramas, just to get some nice sea breeze, fresh air. You don't even need to go to bathe, just being in that environment is just so energizing. And pass by the cathedral as well.
Okay. So, I think you've covered all bases there. We have something to eat, we have a nice location to have the food at, and we have an interesting place to look at even after that.
Yes.
All bases covered. So if you're coming to Trinidad and Tobago, recommended by Prudence, you need to get your food, you need to go to Chaguaramas, and you need to visit the cathedral.
Yes.
All right, Prudence. After your recommendations, let's get into the conversation a little. Your 2 books, A Grateful Heart, 12-week gratitude journal, and The Everyday Leader. What inspired you to put together these books?
So it's an interesting story behind these 2 books. The first one, Version of Yourself Daily, I actually wrote that one in 2020 in the height of COVID-19. And in the back of my mind for years, I always wanted to write a book. I always saw myself as an author. There are some desires you have in your heart, but you never tell anybody about it. It was like writing a book. And in the height of this craziness that was happening for COVID-19, that was the time when people were buying toilet paper by the bale.
I remember.
Right, that period. And it was just such a stressful time, looking at news was just anxiety provoking. And there was a Saturday morning, as my husband and I were watching the news, and we were looking at something else online. And he looked at me and he said, Prudence, or he asked rather, he's like, Prudence, why don't you write a book? And I'm like, did I ever tell you that I wanted to write a book? He said, I think you should write a book. I think you can do it. I know you can do it. And I'm like, okay. The stars have aligned. I've received my confirmation that, before anything else happens, let me do something that clearly I have been called to do. And, I have been playing around with, like, what to write. I've been doing some brainstorming. One of the books that I wanted to write, which I'm still going to, is, how to survive the corporate life as a Black woman. Because there are there are uniqueness in the scenarios we face as women, as Black women, that I wanted to share my experience, 15 plus years within a corporate environment. Now, I think in this timing, not I want to encourage anybody as I would want. And then I remembered my dad. So my dad would have passed away in 2011. And my mind was just on him. And I'm like, he always saying, Prudence, be a leader, not a follow-up. And that leadership didn't mean leading in a entity, but it meant leading yourself. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write about that. And that's where the journey of the everyday leader began. And so that's that book. The other one, which is more of I see my two books as tools, right? But the gratitude journal is one where you have to do some writing.
Yeah.
You have to write. Every day starts with writing out what you're grateful for, affirming who you are. So there's a whole section on affirmations. Then there's a book for nighttime reflection. What went well? Where do I need to learn and grow? And then there's a brain dump. So it invites you to be participative in your life, right? So that book I actually wrote when I was recovering from a major surgery last year.
Oh, okay. Is it the one that you mentioned in your book, by the way?
No. This is, I went through some serious stuff in my
Okay. Just making sure.
Yes. That the other one was a workplace injury. This one was strictly regarding my health. And I had to do surgery. And in my recovery, it was the first time in my life I couldn't do things for myself. I really couldn't do things for myself. I was a person who was always helping people. And then now I had to be physically helped. And I was just feeling so dejected on my road to recovery. And I remember I was at home. I was at home at my mom's, and she was helping me and whatnot. And I was sitting on the chair. At that point, I was strong enough to sit. And I was crying, and I'm telling my mom that I'm just tired of feeling tired. I hate feeling this way. This is not me, and I don't know why I'm going through this. And she watched me, and she's like, Prudence, you need to be grateful. It could have been worse. And I have not been released to share details of that testimony, but I could have died, and it was that serious.
Okay.
What has been good to me, and sometimes in situations we forget the goodness of God. And when she said that, I felt like a weight was lifted off, and I started to cry even more. And then I played one of my favorite songs by T.D. Jakes, Give Thanks with a Grateful Heart. And after that, I just started to write in my journal every single day what I was grateful for. And then when I started to write what I was grateful for, I began to see more things to be grateful for. And then I said, you know what, Prudence, this is an opportunity to encourage someone. So I developed a routine of writing what I was grateful for. And then I started to write affirmations because I needed to remind myself of who I am, even if at that point in time, I wasn't looking it and I wasn't feeling it. So I started then to write my affirmations. And then in the evening, I started to build a routine about what went well for today. Like, highlight something good for the day. And just whatever is on my mind. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to package this into a tool that could help and encourage someone. And I designed everything. The girl in church, she's really good in digital art,
Mm-hmm.
and she created the cartoon version of me,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I put it all together, and that's the testimony behind that book.
Okay, okay. I mean, that simple, the details that you gave there just opened, the floodgates for a number of questions. Because I read the book and I thought it was really insightful, and I thought that in my opinion it saved me a lot of time, because you mentioned a lot of names, a lot of books, a lot of persons you could give credit to. And in my mind, I'm thinking, if she refers to these books and items in these books, then it saves me the trouble of actually reading these books when she mentions the good stuff. So it saved
Yes.
me some time to actually go to those books. But about the books themselves, you had mentioned a number of prominent figures in them, like Miles Monroe, Brian Tracy, Shane Ram, and I think you had mentioned your father, who was also in the
Yes.
book, as well as being major influences in shaping your personal growth and leadership philosophy. Between the time you had gotten the book printed and up to now, do you think there are any other names you would want to add to those lists, to those list of persons?
Wow. Who else could I add? Oh my gosh. There was a book that I read recently. I don't know why I can't remember the name of the book, but before this conversation, I will definitely add him. He wrote the
Mhm.
book 12-Week Year. And when I read the book, I realized that a lot of the concepts that's by Brian Moran.
Mhm.
Brian
Mhm.
Moran and Michael somebody. But anyway, a lot of the concepts that I wrote about kind of marries nicely with it. And it's about really optimizing your time and structuring your days and focusing on what's meaningful, right? Um, I think I would also talk some more about my mom, you know. After writing the book, I'm like, there are a lot of things my dad would have said that was also complimented by my mom.
Mhm.
There are certain things that she would say and remind me of, in terms of giving back. I would also, give her some more notary mentions. Um, another little one is my dad. He had a lot of sayings, a lot of quotes. I want to package all these things this man used to say, like one-liners that will have you cracking up in
Mhm.
honor of him, but and some of my coaches, I would refer to them some more because since writing that book, I've worked with a few coaches who have really impacted me.
Okay, okay. So probably maybe in the other book that you're working on, maybe we'll see like additional names pop up in there too.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Uh, Leadership is sometimes seen as something like reserved for executives, but you challenge that idea. How do you define everyday leadership?
Everyday leadership for me is really and truly understanding who you are. And when you understand who you are, move and operate with that boldness, unapologetically. It's having the gumption to be unapologetically you. So understanding who you are, operating intentionally, and growing yourself purposefully. And that's what leadership means to me. A lot of us are operating by default, but we need to operate by design. And what I mean by that is default meaning operating based on what we could see, our environment. But once we operate by design through understanding how created by God Almighty, it will change the trajectory of our lives because then we would move with more purpose and intention. Because we've all been placed on this earth with gifts. And a lot of us, a lot of people go to the graveyard with their gifts inside. So being a leader, understanding that you have that gift and working with that gift and sharing that gift and growing that gift.
Mm,
So that's what leadership means to me.
okay. I mean, it's really insightful when it is that you just answer that question there, because again, I'm thinking about your book, and I remember there was a quote. Don't ask me who made the quote, but it was in the book, and I think when it is you spoke about intention, the definition that comes to mind to me is when it is that you say yes to something that's not, part of your plan. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you say no. I think it is when you say yes to something else, you say no to your plan. I'm probably
Correct.
cobbling it up, but yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea.
Yes.
So when you spoke about
Saying yes to
intention,
your leadership.
hmm well, you have a number of titles. You're a life coach, uh, you're a mentor, and now you are an author. How did you step into this role, and was there a defining moment that pushed you in this direction? Was it when you were on the couch, or I don't know?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had like a wow story. To be honest. I have always been that person who people will come to ask for advice. Like, it's so funny. The other day I was telling somebody, I can't remember who it was. I'm like, anytime I travel, because in my full-time job, I travel a lot.
Mhm.
Anytime I'm at an airport, I guarantee you somebody's going to stop me to ask me a question. I'm like, do I have a face that look like if I know, like, I'm trying to figure out here, understand Spanish in Colombia. You're looking at me, I don't know, but somehow people see me as that authority figure who just knows, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but personally, I'm that person who people would always call to ask a question, to ask for advice within the workplace, within their career lives. I've always been that person. And it's a gift that I used to ignore because I mean it comes to me naturally. Even within my workplace, persons who I mean, I no longer work with directly would still call me or send me a message. Prudence, I want to talk to you. I have a question, about X, Y, and Z. So I've always been that person. And in terms of launching into my current coaching program, that would have been possible or that would have been accelerated through me writing my book. So when I came on stage in the social media space as an author, a person started to reach out to me directly. How could I work with you? Can you help? But naturally, it's been something that I've always been doing. What some people may not know about me is that I am an HR professional by training.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
my MBA is focused on training and development and learning and all of that. Psychology is my foundational degree, so I love people, people management, and people development. So that natural gift, coupled with my my education, coupled with my work experience, and then the book was the icing on the cake that
Mhm.
allowed me to flourish as a life coach.
Well, look at that. I read somewhere, and maybe I might be wrong. Is it that you're true that you're a Sigma 6 black belt?
Yes, I'm a Six Sigma black belt. I have a black belt, but I don't know anything about karate. Like, when they ask, telling two truths and a lie, I always say I have a black belt, but I can't play karate. I can't do it.
Yeah, I imagine
But
when you make a statement, that persons are like confused. They're like, what?
confused. But again, because people were very, like, why is Prudence doing this here in HR? Like, what is that? But again, part of my nature is improving performance. I'm
Mhm.
very big on performance improvement.
Mhm.
And Six Sigma is like the scientific practice of improving, right? I mean, it is actually an engineering degree. But I'm grateful I made some amazing friends through that program. I always continue learning the concepts of Kaizen, which is like continuous improvement.
Mhm. Mhm.
Big part of it is in project management. It was an excellent program, and I recommend persons to do those Six Sigma. There are different, phases. There's a white belt, yellow belt, green belt, going up to black.
I'm not surprised because in your book you identify that you're a person who enjoys learning, you enjoy education. So the trajectory that you seem to find yourself on seems to be one of a continual learner.
Yes. And the thing is, you have to, if you don't use it, you lose it, one. And if you don't sharpen yourself, so Stephen Covey is another one that I made reference to, sharpening the soul.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep yourself sharp, or else you would remain where you are and everybody will be leaving you behind. And it's not as if life is a race, because the only person that you really person you were yesterday. You know? So it's about pushing yourself and understanding that you are made for more.
I like that. I like that. Let's change gears up and let's talk a little bit about the journal, the tool that you would have put together. Now, imagine me, I'm new to journaling and I buy a copy of A Grateful Heart. You being the architect, you being the writer, you being the designer, how would you advise me to use it effectively?
I love that question, because as I would have hinted along the conversation of, and you would have also mentioned it as well, how I like, people to learn and understand and all of that. In the book, there's actually a guide on how to use it. Now, a lot of us get intimidated when we hear we have to write. You feel as if you're going to school or something. It's really not about that. The science behind writing is that it helps crystallize and concretize information. When you write something, concretize. Yes,
I'm writing that down.
In school.
Patent that.
You used to like to use that word, concretize, and now it has been concretized in my language. Anyway, so there's a guide in there. Yes, I was saying writing could be intimidating, but it really helps to bring together your thoughts. I always give people the example. Whenever I feel overwhelmed about something, I just pull out a blank sheet of paper and I'm like, okay, I started off. Why am I anxious? And you see, only when you start to name something and write it out, then you realize that, okay, I think in my mind I had it a little bigger than what it really is. Right? So writing makes things real. Right? So in the journal, I have a guide. The first thing is find a quiet time. And it doesn't need to be elaborate. It could be 10 minutes by yourself in the morning or in the evening. If I live south, go to work in the north. The days I have office days, I used to work by 6:30. Nobody else is there in the office other than security. So I would sit down with my journal because I didn't have time to do it before I left home, and I would write. So you find quiet time, you find a quiet space, and you breathe. Close your eyes and take about 3 deep, relaxing breaths to center yourself in the moment. And then you just write freely. You write freely. Sometimes I write in my journal as if I'm writing to Borde. Sometimes I write as if I am encouraging myself. I write as if I'm encouraging somebody else. So use how you feel at the moment to just write freely. So you find a quiet time, you find a quiet space, you do your deep breaths, and you just write.
Okay. You could correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think I read somewhere that your journal was designed for women in mind, but it's for use by anyone. Have any of the male readers given you any feedback on the journal or even on the book as well?
Well, my male customers would have purchased girlfriends, their sisters. What I also know is that at least the men in my circle, they prefer to type rather than write. So I don't know if that's and you could probably comment on that if it's a guy thing. Because I grew up with a lot of guys as well. They're not gonna write, so they usually buy it and gift it to a significant other.
Oh gosh. I mean, hey. Okay, well, they're missing out.
One in particular told me recently, he's like, I want one for myself. So when he gets his book, then I would ask him for feedback.
Okay.
But the aesthetic of the book is very much feminine.
Okay. Yeah. And probably if you can make a black cover or something or something like that,
Yeah, it's purple and pink with me in the front in cartoon. It may not attract the male counterpart immediately. But you gave me an idea. Probably make a male version and a female version.
Yeah, you never know that's a market segment there that you might that you could probably target as well there.
Yes, I like that. Thank you.
Um, your book is for those, and this is just me saying what I think. I mean, what I've observed is that your book seems to be for those at a crossroads, that persons uncertain about their purpose. In your opinion, what's your first step, or the first step for a person who's feeling lost or stuck? You've been listening to Tropical
So the first step that I would recommend is just to pause, just to stop. And using the same strategy that I would have shared with when I feel anxious. Just start to write. Write about what you actually know. And something I wrote in the book, I said, God doesn't play dice, and He has been leaving breadcrumbs along our journeys. He has been leaving the breadcrumbs. And sometimes in the business of life and based on circumstances, we don't take note of those breadcrumbs. So just stop and take a moment to reflect on your life. Recently, I was helping out someone with a course, and one of the activities was doing a timeline of your life and notice trends. And I found that was so interesting. And when I did the exercise, I realized that since the little girl Prudence, God was already aligning my steps to take a particular course of something along the lines of reading, speaking, and teaching. And guess what? Today, Prudence is an author, a speaker, and a coach. And in corporate setting, I am big on performance management and program management. So we just need to stop and pay attention to what's been happening in our lives. And the second step, as a bonus, people, okay, I am a Christian, and I proudly say that I am. And I don't want to get churchy on anybody, but talking to God. People underestimate the importance of just talking to Him. And only when my dad had passed away, I got to learn about the characteristic of God as being my father. And if you're realizing that I'm stuck, I don't know where to go, I wrote down the things that Prudence said to do, but I'm still unclear, ask Him. Ask Him, say, God, send somebody to give me some confirmation. I feel this particular way, but I'm still not sure. I need confirmation. If you say you're my father, you are going to send confirmation, because He loves a challenge, by the way. So talk to Him.
If you've liked content or heard something of interest, your book, it includes action steps and affirmations. Can you share one affirmation that you personally live by or is a favorite to you?
Oh, I have plenty favorites. Just one. But one of mine that I love is that I am fearfully and I'm wonderfully made. I am fearfully and I'm wonderfully made. And sometimes on hard days when I just feel like throwing in the towel, I open my journal and I reread some old entries. And I affirm myself again. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am appointed and anointed for success. I am loved, because sometimes we feel unlovable. Sometimes we feel forgotten. I am chosen. So yes, some of those are my favorites.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about your writing and publishing journey. And went with the authors who I speak with, when it is that we talk about this journey, the word challenge is mildly sprinkled in there to just make light of the experiences that they would have gone through. There's a quote that comes to mind and I think it's Brian Tracy, but maybe I'm wrong and I'm subject to correction. The quote goes something like this, that circumstances don't shape a person, but rather it reveals that person to themselves. So my question to you is, during your writing journey, during the challenges that you faced, were there any lessons that you learned about yourself during this process?
One thing I learned about myself is that I could be very impatient. Writing is a test of patience. Writing is a test of discipline. Because I think I also made a reference to the book when my family, everybody's watching TV downstairs and they're writing. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, it's not cute. Writing a book, the fruit people see is not the root that you, the author, goes through. And you have to be reminding yourself of the goal and the mission. And this is not unique to just writing a book. This is like pursuing the things that we should be pursuing, the goals, the big goals and dreams that we have. The journey is never cute, but it's a test of discipline and patience and commitment. So in writing a book, I've realized that I needed to hone in that skill of patience and discipline. I thought I was, but in writing a book, it was really a test of discipline. It was really a test of discipline and commitment. So, yeah, that was one of my lessons. That no, but focus on the doing and not the feeling. That was my lesson. Focus on the doing and not the feeling.
I mean, I'm hearing you talk there, and I'm wondering, if the book that you would have written, if it was really for the benefits of the persons who are reading, or if it was for the benefits of you, because it sounds like you got more out of the book than probably the persons who are reading it.
Yes, I mean, I love that you said that because it's so, 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 so true. Last year, I reread my book and I'm like, wait, I wrote this? It was even encouraging me after reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I purposefully didn't want to make the book lengthy or wordy or fluffy. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted it
Mm-hmm.
to be used as a tool where you could pick it up and reread, pick it up and read over a chapter, or go through some things that you would have flagged in the book because it's really a guide and it encouraged me while writing.
Okay,
That's
okay.
so true.
Yeah. Seeing that you put together two books, the journal as well as its companion book, did the process of getting both of them from conception to print differ in any significant way?
They really didn't. They didn't differ a lot at all. It's the same process. If you're referring to process,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was the same process. Actually, the journal I changed printers somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time I did a print through Amazon, and that was the difference there. The first book I printed solely locally, and now it's available on print on demand on Amazon because I tested it,
Mm-hmm.
which is the second book, and it worked so well. I'm like, you know what? Let me put this out here as a print on demand as well on Amazon.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, okay. All right, we're just going to take a little break and then we're going to resume the line of questioning.
All right.
Now, we're just picking up from where we left off, and the conversation has been very insightful thus far. And on to the next question. What advice can you give for authors who are listening right now as it relates to marketing? Sure, I know that you're not a marketing professional, but I think the advantage that you have is that you finished the task. You had the idea, you got the book printed, you're able to physically hold it in your hand. And that's something that a lot of authors struggle with, in that we get the book printed, but we're not too
Yeah.
sure how to get the marketing out there. So can you
Yeah.
share with us some maybe approaches that you would have used to get the word out about your books?
Yes, so that in itself, that's a great question. That in itself has been a journey, because I've been that person who would not want to put myself out there in that regard. Selling is something that most of us don't like because of what we attach selling to. Like those hustling salespersons who just want to get the money. We
Mm-hmm.
just hope and pray that the book will sell itself. But here's the thing, it won't. So to get comfortable, stepping out of that comfort zone and changing the mindset that your book has a message, and the only way persons could know about the message is if you speak about it. And how do you speak about it? Telling your friends and family is one of the first steps. And what you would also learn is that your family and friends are not your ideal most of the times, clients, and don't expect them to buy it, but it's good to let them know
Mm-hmm.
so that they could help talk about the book if an opportunity arises. Yeah, I remembered one of my aunts purchased like 12 copies for her office.
Look at support.
Right? That is support. I'm sure plenty of them will read it, but they bought it. Some of them gifted others the book, so people, I remember I went to the bank someday and was like, hey, look, the everyday leader, and I was telling my husband, it just felt so weird because I don't know who is this person, but they read my book. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing, and I was in Price Mart sometime and somebody made me out, right?
Oh.
And I only done that if I didn't speak about the book.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, first thing is telling people who you know. Second thing is you create a social media platform. I would say separate your personal platform to your book because your book in itself your book is a business. I have learned that your book is a business. You create a target of how many you want to sell and you work towards taking steps to achieve that target. So
Mm-hmm.
you tell people about the book, you people who you know, you create a platform to talk about it online. So you have your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok, you start to curate followers. So you have a pool of potential clients. And you show up online just to create the page. You show up online, you go on your stories, you go on lives. You start to search up people who you could do a co-live with. When I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
first started, I made friends, like friends, people who are still my very good friends today, because the person out and I said yes, and we did a joint live. It feels uncomfortable. There are times you won't see the traction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even a joke the other day that every time we go on TikTok, listen, I ain't into the TikTok, but I was like, you know what? It's a platform, and I'm not going to change who I am. If you follow me or you don't, my platform is all about encouragement, right? I ain't here to play the fool. So TikTok was doing an experiment with people who don't have a lot of followers, giving them the opportunity to go live. Normally,
Mm-hmm.
would have to have like 10,000 followers. I had less than 100 followers, and I was selected to be part of the experiment. So I'm like, okay, let me go. The only thing I know to talk about right now in this platform is about my book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all kind of weirdos coming on my live because that's what I can't understand with TikTok. Like, why you want to come live on my live and you come live on my live just staring and looking around. But anyway, the algorithm encourages it. Whatever.
Okay. Wait.
So I
Okay.
started to talk about the book,
Mm-hmm.
and weirdos want to come again on my live, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna end this live. And funny enough, I got 2 book sales from being on TikTok live. People reached out to me. So I made a joke saying that show up in spaces that you wouldn't even think about showing up because you will be surprised somebody is going to be encouraged
Mm-hmm.
and they would be curious about what you have to offer. So that's the lesson there. Just show up, talk about your book. People will know about it unless you speak about it.
Okay. Okay. So we know what works. You're showing
Yeah.
up, and a number of the other items that you recommended. And what doesn't work is staying quiet. You can't get it sold if you stay quiet.
Closed mouths do not get fed.
Okay. You could probably add that to one of your affirmations too.
Yes.
I mean, having done earlier on, you had mentioned another project, another book that you were working on. You care to give a little detail about that? Not too much, so that you wouldn't buy it, but enough to just let us know, hey, Prudence has something in the works.
So there's this project, like this is not a pet project, a baby project. Like I see it more like a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I've been holding very tightly to my chest that I need to release. It's a planner. So I have been a planner girly over the years, and I have tested what works, what doesn't work, using the concept of psychology, using the tools that I apply in my coaching. I have designed a really good planner, a daily, monthly, yearly planner. And Yeah, because I want it done a particular way. I haven't found the person who could bring that vision to life. I have all the content already, but it's just to pull together any way that I want it to. So that's one that will be released very soon. Um, that corporate book that I mentioned earlier is something that I am working on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think that book is going to be a game changer.
Ah.
And yeah, with regards to coaching, anybody who works with me one-on-one gets copies of my book as part of their package.
Ah.
And access to all of my tools and resources.
Okay. Okay. I see what you did there with the marketing now. You know, the package and the book, the tools and everything. I see. Yeah. Guys,
Thank
pay
you.
attention, you know. This is a Sigma 6 black belt. Pay attention.
Listen, I used to hate to show up online, by the way. My first live, when I went live to talk about my book, the what you call it, the holder that I had the phone on
Mm-hmm.
was cheap and it broke, and I had to do the whole live with a twisted angle, and it was so
Oh.
funny. And I always use that example to say it ain't gonna be perfect, but just do it.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
tripod was broken. It was a hot mess. But that was my debut into the social media world.
Looking back at things now, if you could speak with yourself, you know, before you started this book, what
Mhm.
advice would you give to yourself?
The advice I'll give to myself is don't overthink. Do not overthink it. You wouldn't believe at the point in time when I was about to upload the book to Kindle, because
Mm-hmm.
when I launched the book, I launched it in Kindle first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was freaking out. As I'd be like, would people buy it? Would people want it? Would people, like, who am I? So, those self-defeating thoughts came up, imposter syndrome came up like, who are you to write a book, you? But, then I had to remind myself that this is bigger than me. Somebody is going to be encouraged by this little book. And then I was scrolling through other titles on Amazon and I saw somebody writing some book about some goat and some foolishness again. I'm like, I say foolishness very loosely because that book meant a lot to that person.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't a typical type of book that majority of us would read.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if this person could write about the psychology of a goat,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
Prudence, you deserve this. Upload your book. And it's a reminder that when we have to do the things that's so important, we get nervous, we overthink. Just do it because somebody is waiting on that. So that's what I would tell myself. Just do it. Don't waste time overthinking. Just do it.
Okay. Well, as we wrap up, I mean, one of the obvious questions is where can listeners connect with you? Can they find copies of your book? And where can they continue their journey with gratitude and with leadership? Sure, you mentioned a couple social media platforms, but be a bit specific with us.
Okay, so you could find me on Instagram at V_everyday_leader. Or you could just type in Prudence Life Coach and you would see me in my pink and purple top popping up. Similarly with Facebook. So I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook. You would find me on TikTok. My TikTok platform is growing and there you get tidbits on, just strategies on how to navigate life and how to achieve your goals, right? In video content. You could also follow me on YouTube. I have only started YouTube this year, a couple of months ago, and it's a platform that God is pushing me into to do some more long form video content. So you could look up Prudence, the Everyday Leader. And all of my platforms is focused on helping you move from stuck to unstoppable by prioritizing your leadership. You could also find me on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is my corporate platform. So you would see me pushing more executive level coaching and content there. But if you are interested in working with me one-on-one, you could send me a message at theeverydayleader2020@gmail.com. Or if you go on any one of my platforms, there is a booking link available in the bio or in the description.
Okay. All right. As we wrap up, ladies and gentlemen, coach, author, motivator, HR professional, and Sigma 6 black belt, Prudence Williams Borde. Prudence Williams Borde, author of The Everyday Leader and A Grateful Heart, a 12-week gratitude journal. Prudence, thank you very much for agreeing to this conversation where persons find out about what it is that you're offering and the benefits that come with going through your books and subscribing to your platforms.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, and I wish you all the best in your endeavor. This is an amazing platform for authors. So you asked me before about marketing. This is an avenue for persons to get their books.
Okay, all right, thank
So
you.
make this platform.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Prudence, guys. The woman knows what she's talking about, so give her an ear. Prudence gave us something today. A Grateful Heart 12-week gratitude journal transforms gratitude from a nice idea into daily discipline. The Everyday Leader reminds us we don't need permission, a title, or a corner office to lead. We just need to show up intentionally for our own daily lives. For listeners who want to connect with Prudence, you can do so at theeverydayleader2020@gmail.com. Follow her journey on Instagram at the_everyday_leader. Explore her resources at prudence-theeverydayleader.com and connect professionally on LinkedIn. Whether you're the self-proclaimed cleaner procrastination finding a rhythm, someone seeking mental clarity through journaling, or an aspiring leader who never saw yourself that way, Prudence's work says you already have everything you need. You just need to claim it, document it, and live it daily. Thank you for showing us that everyday leadership isn't about being extraordinary, it's about being intentional. And that gratitude isn't just what we feel, it's what we practice until it transforms us.
You've been listening to Tropical Literature Creators. If you've liked content or heard something of interest, reach out to us. Reach out to our authors. We enjoy hearing from you, our listenership. Follow us on social media. Visit our website.